Thinking about launching a podcast but overwhelmed by all the moving parts? At TurnKey Podcast Productions, we take the hassle out of podcasting so you can focus on the talk, not the tech. From concept to launch, guest booking to post-production, we handle everything. Need a strategy to grow your show and turn guests into clients? Yep, we do that too. DIY or done for you, we've got the solution that fits. Whether you're just getting started or ready to scale, TurnKey is your behind-the-scenes podcast team. TurnKey Podcast Productions. Your voice, your message, fully produced. Learn more at turnkeypodcast.com/contact. That's turnkeypodcast.com/contact. Franosity helps corporate executives and entrepreneurs build generational wealth, diversify their portfolios, or make a smart career pivot through honest, no-pressure franchise consulting. With 20-plus years of real-world experience as franchise owners, operators, and franchisors, the Franosity team knows what works and what doesn't. They don't sell franchises, they guide people to the right fit or steer them away if it's not. Learn more at franosity.com. That's FRANOCITY.com.
They actually have a plan for today's Nice Guys on Business podcast. You don't want to miss it.
When I call it BS, I mean it's a lot of time spent doing things that are not actually adding to the value of the end result. It's all this other stuff. I want all of your time to be just the highest value work that you've been hired for. And I think that's what clients want to pay for too. They don't want to pay you to email them. They want to pay you to be working on their project, making it the best thing it can be.
The truth, they can't handle the truth. Go from where you are now to where you could be. Get expert tips to grow your business, to be more productive and more efficient, whether you're trying to build influence, grow your community, or make it rain. Best-selling author of Nice Guys Finish First, Doug Sandler, can lead the way. The Nice Guys on Business is produced by TurnKey Podcast Productions. Now, here's your host, Doug Sandler.
All right, Nice Guy community, get ready to badass your brand with Pia Silva. Now, she's a podcast host, an author, a branding genius. I've labeled you genius. She would never say this about her, but I can say this about her. She is a no BS entrepreneur and author of a game-changing book that helps scale thousands without hiring a team. You want to scale thousands? You want to scale to thousands? I mean, hundreds of thousands.
Do you mean
millions.
Dollars?
Yeah, I want to scale to billions if I can. Check this out, Nice Guy community. She and her husband went from being $40,000 in debt to $500,000 in revenue in just 12 months. Just the two of them, no employees, no fluff, just strategy, swagger, and smart positioning. So if you're ready to make some more money doing what you love with more freedom and way less chaos and a lot less bullshit in your life, Pia's here to show you how to do the badassery thing and how to do it right. Pia, welcome to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
What an awesome intro. Thank you. Nice to be here, Doug. My
92-year-old mom, she wrote it, so I give her all the credit.
She's amazing.
She's amazing. You know what? She's really good at ChatGPT. She's really good. Hey, as a podcast host, how much have you had to rely on, or how much do you rely on things like ChatGPT or AI to help you formulate some of what you do? I know you're authentic, but you also like to get the job done.
Honestly, I use it to just give me some ideas. And then every time I ask it to make me an outline or something, I kind of just barely use it anyway. So I don't know. I don't use it for that as much.
So let's talk about all things non-BS. So how did you capture the no BS title? I mean, I think that I called it knobs at first. I'm like, what? I don't understand. Sorry.
Don't say that to the British.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, probably let's not say that. We do have a small contingent in the UK, so I won't.
Oh, okay. If you're in the UK, it's not knobs. It's no BS. Okay. Thank you very much.
How did you capture that? When did you embrace that and discover that was your gift? And then I want to talk about your rise to this through your, with you and your hubby and doing what you do.
Yeah. Well, I am a born and raised New Yorker, so I feel like it was always a little bit core to who I was. I started an agency with him we didn't call it an agency. He was a freelance designer and I was looking for something to do. I don't know. I just said, you're really successful. I mean, you're really creative and you're very, talented. Right. You're not so great at the client management piece. You're not so great at the invoicing and all of that. the charging. So why don't I take that over from you? So that's literally how we started our
Yeah.
agency. We did it the traditional way because I didn't have any background in this. And then over a couple of years, I copied what other people did, and it landed us in debt, as you
Right.
shared earlier.
Right.
So that was kind of the turning point. We really had to take a good hard look at what we were doing, and we ended up kind of throwing out the traditional model completely and doing it our own way, like looking for a way that was more true to who we were and how we wanted to live our lives. And that's how we developed this no BS model. We ended up saying our tagline was badass brands without the BS. And then fast forward to 2021, when I decided to train other small branding agencies on our process. I was trying to come up with this name over and over everywhere. We had lists of names, and then we looked at our own website and it said without the BS. And I was like, that's what it is. And it's been there all along. Dorothy, you could go home all along. It's no BS agencies. And so that's how we ended up owning it for this new business.
I think about when we started. I wrote a book 10 years ago called Nice Guys Finish First. I thought about, hey, this is really how I've led my entire career, regardless of what business. I returned my calls. I tried to deliver exemplary customer service. I found like, hey, this was the easiest thing for me to do, is just deliver service that was second to none. And that was really the competitive advantage. And it seems like it's so silly. It's like really returning my phone calls, being on top of communication with my team and my clients, and being a nice guy. That's really a competitive advantage. Like I would say, really being a no BS badass agency, that's the competitive advantage. It seems so simple, but yet it's so challenging out there. So talk about that for a second.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's first evaluate, I'll assess what I think you're actually doing, because I don't think it's that being a nice guy is necessarily your competitive advantage. I think it's that you've branded yourself that way and you're fully owning it, and it's probably adding to the way that you deliver.
Yeah.
Plenty of people are also nice, so they're not just coming to you because you're nice. There's plenty of people that are nice, but you have embodied the brand and it makes you stand out for that reason. And for me, it's kind of the same, except I would argue there's more nice people out there than there are people running no BS agencies. Every agency is so full of BS, brimming, overflowing with BS, and they're not even trying to get rid of it. So,
all right, well,
yes, it's a competition.
Define that for a second, because I'm curious.
Sure.
So what makes somebody what makes an agency BS, and what makes somebody an agency owner or runner or somebody that puts that under their belt as no BS? Tell me about that.
Sure. So, my observation and hypothesis is that, the world was mostly big ad agencies and branding agencies for a long time. And this world of small micro agencies that I work with and that I came out of a lot of people who worked at those agencies and then went out on their own. What they did was they took the way that the big agencies operated and they just started operating as a
Right.
1 or 2 person agency, just like they learned at their job.
With the same stupid fucking BS attitude, right?
The BS attitude, the BS processes, the long ass pitch process where you're writing these proposals and you're negotiating and you're making edits and you're doing all this free work. That's one example. Then you get into the project itself and clients are paying you 25% up front, and then they're paying you little bits along the way. And there's all these long timelines over months and a week to get back and a week for feedback. It takes forever. And I realized with this moment of clarity, and I can tell you a little bit more about how we actually stumbled on this if you want, but I realized, as a 2-person agency, we don't have to draw this out like that. In fact,
Right.
Steve and I are generally just kind of like intense workers. We're like we can get very excited and like completely engrossed in our project. We can actually do these entire projects in very little time. And
Right.
I want to do it like that. I was actually dragging it out because I thought I had to justify the price. And when I looked at it, I was like, no, how about we just say, no, it should be more expensive because we do it in less time. And then I'll cut out the 80% of the stuff I was doing, which was the back and forth, the client management, chasing for feedback, chasing for, content and photos, chasing for invoices, like all that BS. I'm just going to cut that out.
Right.
So no, I think that most small agencies are still doing it the old way. And I think it's mostly when I call it BS, I mean, it's a lot of time spent doing things that are not actually adding to the value of the end result. It's all this other stuff. I want all of your time to be just the highest value work that you've been hired for. And I think that's what clients want to pay for too. They don't want to pay you to email them. They want to pay you to be working on their project, making it the best thing it can be.
Well, I think, and again, I really appreciate that answer, and especially the part where it's like, it's not that BS means I'm going to lie and I'm going to deceive my client. It just means I'm just applying the same large scale model to my small scale agency, which doesn't make any sense. If I can do it faster, why the hell wouldn't I deliver it faster? And that shouldn't be a drawback to working with you. It should be a benefit of working with you. And again, it shouldn't be a reason why you charge less. It should be a reason why you charge more. And so I love that. I'm curious because I guess to a degree, I mean, as a production company, I'm an agency owner. I have clients and they pay a monthly subscription fee to do what we do. I think about all the times I said to my partner, Strickland, who were really good buddies, and he's a great systems and process guy, and I'm a sales and relationship person. I always think about opportunity. You at some point made unless I've misread what you do, you made a shift or an add-on to your level of service or the type of service or your business model, which was, I don't just provide services to clients that want my help. I also teach other agencies how to build this model that I have created also. Is that fair? Let me start there.
I wouldn't describe it as that. So we have our agency, Worst of All Design, and we do, $40,000 2-day branding projects. And thank you very much. And we still do that occasionally. We take a couple clients a year.
Right.
But in 2017, I wrote my book, Badass Your Brand. The purpose was to get more branding clients, and it did. And to this day, all of my branding clients are like mega fans who read my book, right? So
Right. I got
plug the fact that you should write a book, because it's a gift that keeps on giving for sure. But unintended consequence was that so many other agencies just like ours, so many solopreneurs and 2-person agencies, as well as like 1- and 2-person small businesses read my book and were like, I want to build my business like yours. And that's not what I was teaching in the book. I just kind of am explaining it along the way because I'm telling our story as part of the examples. So it took 4 years of people telling me, can you teach me how to run my business the way you did? Finally, I was like, you know what? I kind of got to this inflection point in my business. Like we were making more money than we needed. And it was like, I mean, this sounds so obnoxious to say, but it's like we were making...
Who says that?
Yeah, well, because Steve and I were always very clear that we wanted more time than money. Like we knew how much money we wanted, but we also were taking the time. And I was kind of like, what's next? Like I was feeling a little flat.
Yep.
And so I went to a coach of mine and I did like a VIP day with her, and she asked me, she said, what can you do that nobody else in the world can offer? And that's that's these 4 years of people asking me. I was like, you know what? That's my thing. Like nobody else can do this. I'm sure people do things like it, but like this is something that I developed over years, painstakingly, with every hundreds of clients. I mean, this process is really something that, I wasn't doing this on purpose, but like I really built it myself, and this is mine. And so I had to make a really bold decision to literally delete 10,000 people from our email list and go all in on building a new business. And it's a new brand. It's no BS agencies. This is where we train 1- to 2-person branding agencies on our model, and had a lot of success with it.
So you don't. It's again. Just help me just understand it, because
it's 2 businesses.
I got it. So which one do we want to focus on for the purpose of today's interview? And not trying to create any confusion. I'm actually trying to create clarity for those in my community. Are you looking for clients that want to learn your business model, or are you looking for clients that want help with branding?
I am personally looking for small branding agencies who want to learn my model. But I am here to talk to all small businesses about all the concepts that are in our model. I just only train the people who are in the agency world, but my book and all of my content applies to all services.
No, I hear you ultra loud and clear.
Yeah.
And the reason I ask,
Thanks for asking.
No worries. The reason I'm asking for so much clarity is because I keep thinking about Strick and I, who run this business called TurnKey Podcast Productions, and I think about, there's one thing that I keep coming back to Strickland with. We've built this system that is second to none, not only in delivering customer service, but in delivering the processes and all of the tools that we have. We've built a team of 15 or 16 people now, and it's like, this is the greatest thing ever. How can we I love my clients and I want to keep my clients and I want to keep the production side of things going. How can I teach other production agencies that are maybe 1 and 2 person shops how to do what we have done? I'm not saying we're like, oh my God, I got to look, but we are not Spotify, but we're also not we've been doing it 10 years now almost. So so how do we teach other people? I want to bring that model.
Yeah.
The model of your model and teach my model to other production companies. Is that fair to share with my audience how you have built your system?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to share it. And in fact, my training program is very much building a profitable business while staying small, because it's for a very specific kind of person who doesn't want to build a team. But that doesn't mean that I don't train people who end up building teams and then end up going into the one-to-many space. It's that I don't think that you have anything to share in a one-to-many space until you've been successful building something that's highly profitable. So to your point, Doug, like, you guys have built systems, you have something to teach and to share. And so absolutely, I think that's, for those that want it. I think that building the training program that teaches that model is a very logical next step and is scalable in a different kind of way.
Yeah.
And it was definitely a big, it was a whole new frontier for me, because I had been, poo-pooing employees for years.
I hear you.
Right. And I had to make the decision, if I'm going to build this, I'm going to have to learn how to be a manager. I'm going to understand and embrace the fact that I'm going to build a business with a team. I now have a big team behind me. But I had to do that intentionally instead of in this weird, unintentional, totally not understanding what it took way that I did it in 2013 when I hired my 2 employees. And I was just a terrible manager and it was so unprofitable, but I had no idea what I was doing. So, I think it's important to go in with both eyes open.
So, Nice Guy community, I want to give a lesson point here, if I could, Pia, because I think it's so important, because the recognition of the problem is the first step in solving the problem. And one of the things that you had mentioned early on, did you say your husband's name is Steve? Sorry, I missed it. Okay, good. Yeah. All right. So Steve, he was great at doing all the things that he is gifted with. It sounds like he was a gifted designer. He's got all the skill set in order to do that. He's got, he's an artist. All of that is amazing. The thing that he is challenged, or was challenged with before you came into the fold, or maybe you've taught him, or maybe he's learned this along the way, is the same thing, Nice Guy community, that many of you guys are also challenged with. This is not a slam on you as a community member. It's, hey, recognizing the fact that your gift to the world is going to come easy to you. The shit that comes difficult to you is the systems, the processes, the spreadsheets, the people skills, the soft skills, all of the stuff, the invoicing. Oh my God. Can you imagine running a business that's $1 million business and not knowing how to send out a fucking invoice? I mean,
yeah, you can't. You won't.
You can't do that. You've got to learn those things, or you've got to learn to bring those people on board. And the key to growing a successful business is understanding when it's time to delegate or when it's time to build systems. And it sounds like you've done a phenomenal job of doing that with Steve in building it up. So when did you realize that I can't survive, this business isn't going to survive with $40,000 in debt? I gotta figure out how to, some people understand that they need to fix the problem, but don't know how. How did you learn to do that on your own?
Yeah, I wish I could say I figured it out. It was, how did I know? Because there was literally no money in the bank, and I was literally had no credit left, and I was getting overdraft fees. That's how I figured it out. And I was like, well, this is not gonna, we can't survive next week. So that's how I figured out that this wasn't working. And then how I figured out that shift is, so the year prior, I had been working with a business coach, and I was charging $30,000 for projects back then. They were just 6 to 12 month projects.
Mm.
And I knew that they had to be $30,000 at least because of how much time and resources it took, right? We had 2 employees, we were 4 people, we live in New York City, like it was a lot. That's partially why they were so long too, because $30,000, well, it better take a long time is how I thought.
Right.
Ha ha ha, how wrong
gotcha.
I was. But at the time, my business coach, I said, gosh, I'm talking to so many people. They all think we're great. They all want to hire us, but they have no money. And this is really frustrating. And he said, well, how much money do they have? And I said, they've got like $3,000.
Right.
You know, I'm trying to sell $30,000. They've got $3,000. He goes, well, what could you sell them for $3,000? I was like, nothing. I mean, maybe, you know, me and Steve could make them stuff for a day. Like, I'd be happy to do that, but like they would have to get out of the way. We just have to like give them whatever we
Yes.
made,
Yeah,
you
I
know,
got
like
it.
if they want to come into my office, we can, because Steve and I are pretty fast. Like we could make them a website in a day. They'd have to go with it. They couldn't be like nitpicking it.
Right.
So he said, okay, why don't you try that? So I started doing that. But secretly, I mean, I didn't tell anybody. I'm like just downselling people here and there. There's no page for it. It's like secret page.
Right.
And so we did a few of those over the year. So at this moment where we shut down, we had no money, we fired the employees. I'm like crying. I'm like, I'm a failure. What am I going to do? I was like, well, we got to make some quick cash. And I'm looking at this $3,000 thing as a quick cash thing. And I'm like, wait a second. This is way more profitable than what we had been doing. Like just the 2 of us, we could be selling these and doing a couple a week. We could make so much money. And now we don't have to pay these employees anymore. And the math started mathing, you know? I mean, it was like immediately, I was like, oh my God, it's right here. And I'm like not exaggerating. Within a week, we had completely changed our website. We were like, that's all we're doing. 1 day and 2 day intensive.
But isn't that all it takes is just the spark to ignite this gasoline of a program?
Thank goodness we maxed out our credit cards, because I am like, what is it called? Like a dog with a bone. Like I got a goal. I am on a train. I am not getting off. Like I had this vision I was going on. And only because I got completely just knocked off of it with the debt did I like, you know, wake up and was like, oh my God, this is not the way. So I feel so lucky that we fell into a hole, basically, because it was the only way to, you know, like shake me out of my, you know, my hypnosis of thinking that big agency was the way for us. And it wasn't.
Well, I think about, you know, innovation, growing products and services. It's like I'm trying to figure out, a necessity breeds innovation. I guess that's what I guess that's what it is all about. It's like, hey, I need to make this work. I don't know that we ever went through that step with TurnKey. You know, fortunately, I had a full-time gig. I was a bar mitzvah MC for 30 years, and I was always doing that on Saturday. And, you know, this was my part-time career for, you know, 3 or 4 years so I didn't really need to pull any income out of it. I felt like for me, the thing that really made it was I didn't want to be the sole person within my organization to do everything. I wanted to be able to delegate responsibilities to other people. I wanted to be able to bring on a team member, even if it meant me not make. I'm very similar to you. I wasn't about the money. I was about I want to create this business that I could actually manage rather than be in all the time. Do you find that like that's an initial symptom of the people that are coming to you to say, help me? Or do you find like
No.
they want to work in the business all the time and do their thing?
My people are actually the opposite. Managing people is not what they want to do. They don't want to be responsible for other people. They like the work. They're creative people. They want to build brands. They just don't want all the headache that comes with it. And they don't want all the BS of clients, frankly, getting in their way.
Well, give me an example though for it. So somebody that is an agency owner that, let's say, wants to put, you know, the pen to paper or illustrations or all of that stuff, but they don't want to deal with invoicing. They're never going to want to deal with invoicing. So how do you teach that? Like, what do you bring to them to teach them how to handle like something as simple as invoicing?
Okay, so well, there's 2 parts to that question, because the first one is like, if you only want to be creative and you don't want to touch anything about a business, go get a job. That's what a job is.
Perfect.
Show up
Okay.
and be a creative
I'm
person.
glad you said that. I was heading in that direction, so I'm glad to hear that. Okay.
That's a job. if you want to own your own business and you want to do the creative work and you are not someone who is aspiring to build a business like yours, like have a team and like all this stuff, then um, then I am going to simplify the Pia part of the Pia and Steve business, right? The business part. I'm going to simplify it as much as possible for you. And I'm going to teach you how to do it so that it takes as little time as possible. So that's essentially what I'm sharing with them. And even if, like I said, I alluded to earlier, even if they do eventually want to outsource, I have lots of students as they become more successful and they're charging more and more money, they do start to use contractors and farm stuff out. So they're doing less and less of the work. By all means. The problem with creatives is usually that they do that way too quickly before they're profitable. They do it because they're overworked and they're unprofitable. And then they just start paying out the money that they're making to their contractors, taking none of it home. And wait a second, why am I still working all the time for no money? Which I know so well because that's exactly what I was experiencing as well. So it's not that I'm anti-employees or contractors. It's not even that all my people are completely anti-contractors. It's that you must, in my opinion, become profitable enough first to support hiring out, especially for the kind of work we do, which is very high ticket, done for you services that are one and done.
Do you find that creatives that you work with, do you find that they undervalue their time? I mean, I feel like there are so many people that are artists that I'm like, why are you only charging, $75 an hour? Why aren't you charging $5,000 for that project? What's your thought about that?
Yeah. So yes and no. You're only worth what the market will pay you. And I think that sometimes creatives can both undercharge and overcharge. Undercharge because they don't realize the value that they have.
Yep.
And they're scared to charge more. And overcharge because they don't realize that the thing they're delivering is not the value that is being bought. The value that's being bought is the work plus the way the work is delivered. So the client pays more for you as the creative to lead the process, advise strategically, build a brand that is connected to a strategy that is going to get the client the business outcomes that they want. They will pay much more for you to make decisions and for them to trust your decisions than they will for somebody to design a logo. We all know that there's beautiful design out there for very cheap, so that it's not inherently worth anything. It's only worth it if there's like a really trustworthy process around it that a client can believe in. Because when you buy creative services, there's a bit of a leap of faith. No matter how good their work is, you're still buying the hope that they're going to make something that's good for you. It's not pants. You don't get to try them on. Like, you're buying something they're going to make after. So how do you create this experience where they trust you enough to pay you, in my case, $40,000 up front before they see anything?
Yeah.
That's where the value comes from.
Well, how do you, it's hard if you're creating, let's say, not just a logo, but an entire brand. If you're creating a brand, but you're not really the marketing effort or the sales team behind that, you're just responsible for being the catalyst that gets the brand recognized, but you're not responsible for the marketing or the selling of it. The best laid graphics and designs and plans will fall on deaf ears if you don't have a good marketing or sales team. So talk about that for a second.
100%. Couple of things. So one is sometimes I have to explain to branding agencies that it's the business owner's responsibility to be successful with the brand that you give them, right? A best kept secret brand is not going to go anywhere. No. So, depending on where your services end, sometimes my clients will then offer something ongoing to select clients to help them in different ways, maybe executing some marketing stuff, maybe quarterly strategies, whatever it is. But you cannot have a successful marketing campaign if your brand isn't in order first. So it's one piece of the puzzle. Just like you can't, it doesn't matter how great your branding or your marketing is if your salespeople suck. It doesn't matter, right? Also, none of this matters if what you're delivering sucks. So if you have a successful business, like, everything has to be,
it's all got to work together.
It's all got to work, and you're not responsible for every piece of somebody's business.
Well, I think
That's,
go
I
ahead,
mean,
go ahead.
that's my opinion, about that. Wait, but I had another side to you. What? Go ahead. You
That's
talk.
okay. We'll come back to it.
Yeah.
So what's interesting about what you're saying is, and I keep coming back to, and I'm sorry for also talking about my business in addition to
No,
yours, but
no,
I feel like this makes
please.
it for the best conversations too.
Totally.
We can be totally relatable. It's like, okay, for those on our client list that are expecting great production and great customer service and all of the collateral, that's stuff that we deliver. For them to expect us to deliver the sale is unrealistic. However, it's something that I think I need as the team sales lead or whatever. I think I need to do a better job of that up front. Do you find like you're just as much delivering systems and processes as coaching to your clients? And if you thought of your idea, you say that first, and then you
hmm
can go ahead.
Yes. You're talking about to my done for you clients, like to
Yes.
my agency clients. Yeah.
Yes.
This actually relates to the second thing I was going to
Okay.
say,
Perfect.
which is that I have, and I think this is also important. Again, if you're going to stay small and be super profitable, is being very discerning about the clients you work with.
Oh yeah. Everybody
So
with a checkbook is not a potential client.
not at all. So I stopped working with new businesses pretty early on.
Yep.
I stopped working with clients that had lots of decision makers. I actually have a place in my contract that says, here, what are the 3 names max
It's
of
so
decision
great.
makers?
So
And you're
great you
not
say that.
allowed to bring anybody else in. And
No.
and that's why I used to say I work with 1 to 3 person service businesses. That's who
Right. So great.
my clients were. So both of these, and they must be existing clients. And because of our positioning, we work with service businesses, small service businesses. They had to be existing. That means they've already been selling
Right.
high priced services to
Right.
clients, and they're coming to us because they're not attracting enough of the right clients. They want to charge more. Yeah, well, your
Yeah.
branding and your messaging sucks. I know that if you're already able to sell at these prices, when we make you look like a freaking rock star and you're actually speaking to a clear audience with messaging that is really reflecting how you're talking to them in person, it's the reason they're hiring you. It's because of something,
Right.
the way that you are. So if I can pull that out of you and put it online, of course you're going to be able to sell more. And the numbers are kind of self-evident in those cases. So that's why I chose that audience, because it was like the ROI, even if you just are able to close more easily or sell a couple extra clients at, $5,000, $10,000, $20,000 a pop, like this is a no-brainer.
I love what you just said, because I think that those that are in our community, you're starting out, you're a side hustler, or you're just getting underway, or you've been underway for a year or two, you're probably similar to where we were. And maybe I'm not speaking for Pia, but I know I was here. It's like anybody that had a check was a potential client. The issue with that was then everybody can become a client, and that's bullshit, because they will drag you down all the places that you don't want to go. On the other side of it, it's the large organizations that have existed for a long time that have committees. We're dealing with, I'm not going to say any names because it's a current client right now. I'm like, why did I not ask the question, how many people are on your decision-making committee? Because they are dragging their feet, and not purposely, but it's a decision by committee. And we're going through this analysis paralysis. Every decision, it takes a 30-day project and it turns it into a 6-month endeavor. I don't fucking want that. We don't make any more money if it's 6 months launch or if it's a 30-day launch. I'd rather do it in 30 days. You have to understand and be really discerning with who is ideally your client. Sometimes you go through the school of hard knocks to figure that out. Is that correct for you too?
I would say always.
Always.
I mean,
Only
how do you
always.
figure out who are the best clients if you don't? What do they say? You have to kiss a few frogs. Like
Right.
this is how. I mean, I didn't just know that I needed less than 3 people. I had to work with a bunch of clients who had more than 3 people to be like, I think 3 is the magic number. I'm going to cap it at 3, and then be really clear with my clients on those fit calls. How many people? Okay, you understand. Like we don't entertain it. We don't entertain opinions of anybody outside of the decision makers, and they must be on all of the calls. And people are scared to say that kind of stuff. And I
Yes.
think it's scary to say it in the beginning when you don't have
Yeah.
the confidence. But by the time I was doing that, I had done so many. I was like, I'm okay if you walk away when I say that, like,
Well,
because I just dodged a bullet if that's
okay.
the case.
Because I think that those in our community are going to want to know this. I'm curious, what your
Yeah.
answer is too. When did you realize that that was the formula that you needed to follow? You had your ideal avatar for who was the perfect client for you based upon
Hmm.
your hard knocks that you went through. When did you realize that? How many did it take, or how long did it take?
Yeah. Um, so the beauty of our model and the fact that we started it at $3,000 for a 1 day is that in that first year, and by the end of that first 12 months, we got that 1 day up to $10,000. So I was kind of increasing the price
Hmm.
all along the way. But I mean, we must have done like 100 brands, like we worked with so many clients because they were short,
Right.
intensive
Right.
things. So, somewhere along that experience, and we were charging. I mean, I didn't start raising the price until about 6 months later. So
Hmm.
I was definitely under. I was charging way less than I could have been for, you know, in months 3, 4, and 5. I probably could have already
Right.
raised it. It didn't even
Right.
occur to me because I was just like, oh, I'm so happy to not be in debt. We just did so many. And I started to get really kind of confident and just like, nope, I've seen this, don't want to do it. So it's the reps.
Well, again, listen, nice guy community, to what Pia is saying. It doesn't necessarily need to take you 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of doing this and taking everybody in. You just have to be understanding of what you're trying to define. You'll drive yourself crazy. And those low paying clients sometimes are the highest maintenance. The high paying clients are the ones that respect your opinion and your professionalism and the way that you do it so much more. I remember being a $5,000 DJ in a $400 market, and everybody was like, well, how are you charging 5 grand? I'm like, well, you find one or two clients that want to do it. You work the referral base like that. And I'll tell you, they're the ones that will hand carry you to the event, as opposed to the one that's paying you $300 or $400 that wants to nitpick every single song. And they're standing right by your DJ booth saying, why are you playing that song? I'm like, get the fuck away from me.
Right. And so there's no reason not to plan how you're going to get to that $5,000 client or that $20,000 client. The only reason we got to $10,000 in a 1 day is because 6 months into this, I started looking at the numbers and what we wanted our life to look like. And I realized that would be the perfect sweet spot. A 1 day at 10 grand, we do 2 a month. I've got this time to find the clients and do the I was like, that's what I want. And so I just like worked my way up to it for the next 6 months.
I
And it was
love it.
very clear.
Design your business around your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Don't design your lifestyle around your business, because it's kind of like when you're paying your bills or paying yourself at the end of the month after you see what is left over. That's the wrong way to do it. Pay yourself at the top of the month and
Right.
figure out how to work into that. Eventually you will. I promise you, it is a good, not only business plan, but it's a good financial plan for you personally as well.
And, it's easy for us to say that. And I know that people hear that and like, yeah, I'd love to charge that. But like, I can't, I'm not, they're balking at my low prices. And I don't think the answer is to, oh, if you raise your price, you'll close the client. I don't think
Right.
it's as simple as that.
Right.
And that goes back to the reps I was saying earlier. I think it's like, well, you do need to be worthy of the $5,000 DJ, right? You can't be delivering $400 DJ services and it's
Correct.
not that you have to work harder. You don't have to sweat more or work more hours, but you got to be smarter about the process and how you handle the clients and just leading with confidence. And confidence comes from having, set processes that you can talk about with confidence. That I've done this many, many times. Like, you're exactly like all my other clients and I knock it out of the park every time. I'll pay more for that, And so that's what I think the reps are really important, because if you know that you want to be that high ticket
Right.
offer, then just realize, okay, so what am I going to do as quickly as possible to become worthy of those prices also?
For those in our community who are podcast listeners, which should fucking be everybody because you're listening to a podcast right now, Pia also has a podcast called the No BS Agency Podcast. Even if you are not an agency owner, you still need to listen to this podcast. You will get some amazing practical business advice that will help you run and shape your business every day. What was the inspiration behind the podcast? You're a couple hundred episodes in. You have a lot of 5-star reviews. You're killing it in that space. Tell me about that.
I appreciate that so much. Yeah, I mean, it's the same reason I wrote the book. It was like, what's this going to look like? Like, I want to learn how to do this. If I do it, then I'll be able to look back and help other people. Even if I'm not helping them write a book or helping them write a podcast, I'll have a lot of valuable information that I can advise them with. So that was a part of it. And also, I just know podcasts, people walk around with you in their ear all day. They feel like they know you. That's how you build trust. My podcast isn't generally, like, I don't think of it as bringing a lot of new people in, although I love telling other people on other podcasts because those people tend to check it out. But it's so much more so for the people who come back every single week. It just, they get on calls with our team and they're like, I'm already in. Like, I've already been learning from Pia for years. Like, now I want the next piece, So I'm all about it.
Pre-sold. And I know, at least from my perspective, a lot of great relationships are built from the guest seat. Doing this kind of thing opens up an opportunity, a world of opportunity with other people. And because we are podcast producers that teach a strategy of, look, it's not just conversion of audience members to clients. It's sometimes, conversion of guests into referral sources, or guests into joint venture partners, or guests into clients. Has that been a success for you? Or are you even thinking about your podcast from that perspective?
I don't think about my podcast from that perspective, and I know that is solid advice. I tend to I don't know why, because I curate my podcast to specifically just be for this like very one specific thing, which is like, I am sharing advice and strategies about this very specific model that I built and the mindset stuff around it to bring people down my funnel so that the right people pop out the bottom.
No worries about that. I mean, I think that is a viable strategy. And I think that's one with somebody that has a very established podcast could probably say, with an audience of even a couple hundred, that's a great strategy, because you eventually will have people that drop onto your list that start at the top of your funnel and work their way down. I always think about it as, well, why would I ignore that guest seat? Also, there's opportunity here. Somebody that shares a great story. You have a great business model. I want to learn the business model. I know my client, my audience wants to learn the business model too. So why wouldn't I have the ability to have another referral source in my pocket, or vice versa? If I say something that's of interest to you, now you have another referral source in your back pocket.
Absolutely. And I have guests once a month, but I'm very discerning about making sure that they're speaking specifically to some piece of the model that I'm already talking about. You know what I mean? And once in a while, I have brought people in who are like a little off topic, simply because like it was an opportunity to hobnob with somebody that was like very far ahead of me. And I've done those for that exact reason, but I haven't loved doing those, because like, is this the best value for my audience? I'm not so sure.
I agree with you. If that is not your intended plan for it, and it doesn't hit a gasoline spark like it did earlier in the conversation, then it's not one that you need to explore. The beauty of the podcasting space is, look, you've been creating trust with an audience, and you probably have some audience members, many audience members that you've never heard from. It's not because they don't like you, but you haven't crossed the intersection of I need you yet versus I'm just a listener right now. When they hit the I need you and I'm a listener, then they will pick up the phone or they'll opt into something that you have to offer.
Totally.
So your book, tell me any inspiration behind the book. Tell me a little bit about it, how it's been going. Just share a little bit more about that.
Yeah. So I wrote my book I published it in 2017. I cannot believe it's been that long, because to this day, I hear from people, a couple times a week, like, oh my God, I just read your book and I'm following everything in it and I'm so excited. And it's like, wow, I wrote that book so long ago. It's like still like changes people's lives every day, which like, not to toot my own horn, but like, I was not expecting that, it's not a very long book. I share my story and story of my clients and some very practical, no BS advice on how to profit from expertise. It's very specifically for small service businesses. And in my opinion, the fastest way, it's called, the subtitles, Impatient Entrepreneur's Guide, because I am like the queen of impatience. I'm like, what's the fastest way? Show me. I'm already going. I'm already on the path. So this is what I found to be the shortest path to success and more freedom and profit.
Well, Pia's got the audio version of her book. I'm going to put a link in the show notes so you have that. 568 5-star or 4.7-star reviews. So it's obviously has a lot of traction that's out there. People are loving it. You have access, Nice Guy Community, to the audiobook. All you need to do is go over to Pia's website. I'll make sure I put a link in the show notes for that. But she actually gave us a very special link of our very own, nobsagencies.com/nice guys. And if you go to that link or check the link in the show notes, you will see it. What am I missing, Pia? What should I be asking you that I'm not asking you? I've kept you so far beyond where I promised you I would keep you. So I figure I may as well just go all
That's okay. I guess I'll plug one more thing that I know is kind of on topic for what we were discussing. In the book, I talk about the 50-25-25 rule to profit and freedom. And you were also picking up on the idea of, build the business that supports the lifestyle you want. To me, it all starts with how much money do I need to support the life and the business and the taxes? What's that top line that I need to hit to buy all the things that I want and need, and backtrack? What do I need to charge to make that money? And it's a pretty simple formula, but that's how I realized I needed to charge $10,000 for a one-day intensive. And everything got so much easier once I had that clarity. So at the risk of confusing people with 2 calls to action, you can totally grab the audiobook and I explain it in the book. But if you want to just plug your numbers in and see what your price is, you can go to nobsagencies.com/price, and you can download like the price to freedom calculator that kind of explains all of this.
Nice. I appreciate that. If there is a way to, in addition to that, at some point, maybe ChatGPT, for those of you in our Nice Guy community, how many hours you actually would need to work in order to make that happen too.
No, that's one of the inputs.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Because I'll tell you, from my perspective, it's like, I don't want to have a weekend. I want to have just whatever my weekdays are be shorter than my weekend. I want my Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays to be much shorter than my Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Mondays. So for me, I've been able to build that lifestyle, which has been great. That's not a bragging point. I may make less money than those that are out there that are working 5 days a week, or even 6 days a week, or 7 days a week. I don't fucking want to work that much. I mean, I'm 100 years old. I'm finished with that part of my life. My kids are grown, and I love the lifestyle that I've been able to manufacture and build because of this thing called self-employment. And I love it. And I know that Pia is here to be able to help you do the same thing as well. Pia, final word, any inspiration, any final things, anything that you want to share with our community that we haven't covered so far?
No, it's been a great conversation. I feel like we covered a lot. You can come hang out with me on Instagram, and that's usually where I hang out. Pia Loves Your Biz.
Nice.
Lots of tidbits and bite-size advice that, again, always for the branding agencies, but applies to all service businesses also.
That's great. And in addition to Pia's Instagram page, I know that nobody is watching this on video, but there's some really cool artwork that is behind her that I think is Steven's inspiration or his work.
Yeah, this is his studio.
Do you have any of that stuff on your Instagram page as well, or none of that?
I share his stuff in my stories often, but no, I don't have any of that. I don't want to confuse people. But he's at stevewasterval.com, and he's applying, all of our branding and marketing principles too, with a lot of success.
Nice.
So that's also kind of fun for people to kind of see it in action.
Well, excellent. Well, Pia, thanks for being on the show. Thanks for being so open to my conversation and my foul language. I apologize. Nice guys do have foul mouths also. So
you don't say. Thank you, Doug.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice. Special thanks to Pia Silva. All of our information, including access to the Nice Guys link, will be right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in.